House on the Edge of the Park is a exploitation thriller horror film directed by Ruggero Deodato, the infamous director of Cannibal Holocaust. This movie is kind of rare, so I was able to find it, but it basically is about Alex and his friend Frankie. They are a couple of mechanics who are fixing a car for a rich couple. However, they're able to fix the car really quickly, so the rich couple invites them to a party, and they don't, they're okay with that because they want to, meet some people or whatever. And Alex has a dark secret, though. He's a killer. So the two of them show up at this rich house, and it's a really large house, a big garden. A lot of stuck-up types are there, high society, sort of. They look down on them, and Alex can sort of pick up on the fact that they're just there to be sort of made sport of, basically. And Frankie doesn't really notice, so they give him a lot of alcohol, and he dances crazy, and they start whipping him at poker. And then Alex decides that, you know what, he's not going to take this. And he decides to pull out a straight razor and take everyone hostage. And him and Frankie start to sort of subject tortures to all the different people. Firstly, psychological terror, then some beatings, and then eventually escalating things to the inevitable conclusion. So this movie, the director himself even said it was a cheap movie that they just wanted to make to be similar in vein to The Last House on the Left. It even has David Hess as the main character in a similar role. But the movie, has a lot of tension because you sort of know that these two people basically have the rest of them hostage. But it's also a type of movie where like someone could escape and could call for help, but you can't always be 100% sure if you can get away or if any of your attacks will work, or if someone else might get violently hurt because you try to escape. So the people are sort of frozen in fear because they outnumber the two attackers. There's two men, but there's also like two men, three women. Yeah, so they're basically 5 versus 2, but most of them are women. They don't want to make any sudden moves. The movie is able to build up that tension. It has that really dark edge, but there's also some themes of like classism in there. The ending's also pretty shocking too. It's very different from what I was expecting. This is a nasty little film that's entertaining. It's definitely not like it's got some really brutal moments too. It's not for the faint of heart. So The House on the Edge of the Park is still an interesting film though. And I give it a 6.5 out of 10. Body Count is a slasher movie by Ruggero Deodato. I just wanted to watch this one because he directed it, but this movie has a really low score on IMDb of a 4.7, which is pretty low, so I lowered my expectations accordingly, and for good reason. So this movie starts with 2 teenagers being killed by the shaman, a vicious character that's hiding out in the woods, and then we skip forward 15 years to a bunch of teenagers going on a trip, and they pick up a kid named Ben, whose car broke down, and then they stay at Ben's place. Ben's family is there, his very strict father and mother, and they're just camping out there in their RV. However, people start dying one by one, and they're not sure if it's the shaman. This movie has like nothing going on. It's got no story. You barely see the killer. The kills are all off screen. They're very tame. I was expecting better kills because it's a Ruggero Deodato movie. This is the man who did Cannibal Holocaust. And slasher movie's rather tame. A lot of like no plot really, just characters walking around getting offed, and then they have like something going on with the very strict father. He's like a real asshole. However, his demise is not as enjoyable as you'd think. He doesn't get his comeuppance, so that's kind of lame. And overall, there's no memorable characters. The villain you barely see the slasher villain. So, the only thing that would keep the movie going is the kills, the gore, and the villain. But we barely see that. So, Body Count's definitely one of those bottom of the barrel, low effort affairs. They even have like this thing with the hunter father putting up traps to trap the shaman, and the traps don't really do anything. So, yeah, this movie doesn't really have much to offer. So I give Body Count a 2 out of 10.